Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Welcome to USC CollegeSide Chat panel discussion. First and foremost, we hope you're all healthy. This virus has been crazy. I hope that you're all safe, and we're here to help you navigate this already anxious transition to college.
So our goal for today really is we just want to give you an opportunity to hear some of the stories from our panelists, people who are currently at USC, and get their perspective. Our discussion is going to be about an hour long. So the first half, we've already compiled the most popular and most asked questions. So we're going to be answering some of those. And then the second half is just going to be an open discussion. You can ask specific questions or general or anything else that you feel like you're curious about.
So we encourage you all to turn on your cameras, but only consent to do so if you're okay with being recorded, because we're recording this meeting. We want our panelists to be able to see who they're talking to. So we're going to kick things off with introductions, and so that you can get to know your panelists a little bit more. So they're going to tell you their names, hometowns, years, majors, and the first thing that they plan on doing when this quarantine is over. So, Anuva, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Anuva. I'm currently a junior. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm majoring in public health. It's called Health Promotion Disease Prevention at USC. Really complicated. I just say public health. In terms of introductions, I'm really involved. So I'm pre-med. I'm really involved in a lot of mentoring organizations on campus. And I also do volunteering off campus, volunteering at a clinic in downtown. So stuff like that, yeah. So if you have any questions about like being pre-med, taking classes, how to handle extracurriculars and academics, I'd be happy to answer those.
Awesome, thanks, Anuva. Kavion, sorry, did I get that right?
Yeah, close. It's Kayvon. Hi, everyone. My name is Kayvon. I'm a current junior, rising senior at USC. I'm a neuroscience major and an applied computer security minor. First thing that I'm going to do when this quarantine is over, probably go to In-N-Out or go surfing. I haven't decided. Maybe both. Maybe we'll do them together. It'll be like a nice fun day. In terms of my involvements, I'm a tour guide at our admission center, and I'm also a student ambassador there. In addition to that, I'm the director of education of USC's chapter of the American Red Cross. I'm also pre-med, just like Anuva. And I'm also involved with KXSC. It's our on-campus student-run radio station. So happy to talk about any of that or other involvements as well.
Perfect. Pallavi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, my name is Pallavi. I'm a junior. I'm from Oklahoma City. I'm majoring in public relations and I'm a minor in computer programming. And in terms of on-campus involvement, I'm involved with AIM Consulting and Trojan Marketing Group. They're both marketing agencies that work with clients in LA. And I'm also part of Project Rishi, which is a student-run nonprofit, and it works with rural villages in India. And then first thing that I want to do after quarantine is just see someone besides my own family, hang out with my friends, and eat good food. But yeah, I'm really excited to answer any questions that y'all have.
I think we can all relate to in wanting to see more people. May, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So my name is May. I'm a sophomore. I'm also from Oklahoma. Pallavi and I are from the same town, and I'm currently studying computer science. Before that major, I was so many different majors. I actually started in the business school, so I have some experience with that. I then transferred to the film school, and then now I'm CS, but I was also briefly math and cognitive science too. So if anyone has any questions about questioning what you want to study, I'm definitely a person to ask about that in terms of that journey. On campus, I am involved mainly in two organizations. One is this entrepreneurship organization where we inspire entrepreneurial / problem solving culture across the community. And specifically my work in that was I led this initiative where we partnered with the local high school and designed and taught a curriculum that emphasized skills in entrepreneurship, tech, and design within underrepresented minority communities, because we are trying to like bridge that diversity gap in the tech industry. And then I also spend a lot of time in this consulting organization that I'm in. And our clients in the past have included like Chevron, BMW, and currently SpaceX. And yeah, so what I'm looking forward to doing once quarantine finishes, honestly, just like all of you, I just want to leave the house, see my friends. I really miss LA, and I really want to go to the beach and just take an Instagram photo outside. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That was actually one of the most diverse set of majors that I've heard. Um,
Yeah.
Erica, do you want to go next, please?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Erica. I am a junior as well. I'm from Manhattan Beach, California, so pretty close by. My major is philosophy, politics, and law. That's one of those long liberal arts majors. So Dornsife all the way. Um, on campus, I'm involved in the Joint Educational Project, which is USC's service learning organization. I'm also on Daily Trojan, so if anybody's interested in student journalism, and I am like pretty big in like the political community. So yeah, if you have any questions about getting involved politically, ask away. And after this quarantine, I'm sure like many of you, I really want to go to Taco Zone or Bakari, whichever one is open first. Eat my tacos.
They have, by the way, for everyone, they have $15 all you can drink. So once you all turn 21.
They just got rid of that deal. It's now $20. Sorry to burst everyone's bubble, but it's still really good. I would highly recommend.
It's still amazing. Best sangria. Julia, do you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Abby. My name's Julia. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm studying psychology and law right now. I came into USC as an athlete. I was on the beach volleyball team. I was also majoring in business. Ended up ending my career and then transitioning into more of like an academic focus in my life. And so I've really been taking this time to like see all the resources that USC has to offer, and also seeing the way they've handled everything with COVID has really been inspiring in terms of me feeling like there's a lot of people and resources around USC to help you, no matter what you're struggling with or what type of person you are. I think that is definitely the biggest strength of USC's, and I'm really excited to be here and talk with you all about this. The first thing I'm gonna do after quarantine is see my best friends and give them a hug. I miss them. Yeah, Avi, you can go ahead if you want to.
Sure. Just want to make sure that I didn't miss out any panelists. Did we all go? Awesome. So I'm Abhi. I am a senior about to graduate in 1 month. I'm studying business administration with a focus in finance. I'm from New Delhi, India, so I just got back a few weeks ago. Um, in terms of involvement, I worked with Global Brigades, which is this service organization that makes you go to different countries in South America. So I went to Panama and I worked with this indigenous tribe there. And it's basically consulting focused, very cool experience. And then similar to Erica, I also worked with JEP. What I would like to do as soon as I get out. So I'm back in India, and like the lockdown is so intense that you're not allowed to leave your house. I just really want to go for even a walk. Like that's the goal right now, just walk. All right. So before we move on to the questions, like I see that a lot of you are still not on video. If we would love to see your beautiful faces when we answer your questions. So if you're comfortable with being recorded, please turn on your camera. That would be amazing. All right. So let's move on to questions. Now that you guys have a glimpse of who our panelists are, we'll begin with some of the most commonly asked questions. And so the first question is, how have you changed the most in college? And how has USC influenced that change? And what would you like to start us off?
Yeah. So I'd say the biggest way that I've changed at USC is in terms of my confidence. I know that in high school, I was still really timid and I didn't really want to put myself out there and join new activities. So coming to college, coming to a place that was extremely brand new, the first time I was away from my parents for a really long time in a completely different city, it was really hard for me to put myself out there. But the thing with USC is that there's just so many different student organizations and so many different groups that you can be a part of. Because there's so many different students, so many different interests, there's so many different niches that are available. So for me, I basically just at the beginning of each semester we have this club fair. So you walk outside, all of the different organizations are displayed on like Truesdale. That's our main long like outdoor street thing, whatever. But yeah, I just went there, signed up for a bunch of different orgs, and then I went to a bunch of different meetings, and then I figured out what really stuck. And because I was able to explore, I could really pinpoint my interest down to mentorship and really focus on spending most time in those organizations and really getting to know all of the people, and then getting to be on e-board, and now even being a leader in those organizations and leading the new cohort of freshmen and sophomores that join. So I think that that's the biggest way that I was able to change. I was really able to hone in on my interests, become more confident, and that was because of this abundance of opportunity that's found at USC, an abundance of great resources and upperclassmen that you can talk to really figure out what your niche is.
Yeah, thank you. And to echo Anuva, I would say that definitely just go to all the career fairs and these interactive society meetings. Just go out there and explore if you end up joining. And then now can we get come on? Shit, I'm still saying it wrong, aren't I?
It's okay.
Kayvon,
Yeah.
Kayvon, got it.
I think for me, I became a lot more independent, and I learned how to develop myself personally coming to USC. I went to the same school starting from kindergarten through 12th grade, and I considered myself a relatively social person, but it's important to note that since I was in the same environment pretty much essentially growing up, I never really had to put myself out there and meet new people. I was very comfortable talking to the people that I already knew. Coming to college was the first time that I realized, oh my God, now I'm alone. Now I got to figure out who I'm going to be friends with. Now I got to figure out what classes I want to take. What am I going to do? And I think USC provides a lot of resources to help you with that transition. So definitely learned how to fall into myself and sort of to develop my own personality a little bit more and figure out who am I right now coming to college, and when I graduate college, who's the person that I want to become. And I think that through taking classes, through joining extracurriculars, clubs, sort of like what Anuva was saying as well, every experience that I've had at USC has taught me something new. Even things that I didn't really expect. For instance, I got an opportunity to take a surfing class this semester, and now I can surf, which is awesome. I'm not really any good at it, but I can do it nonetheless, which is the important thing. But it really has taught me just a lot about myself, even just playing the sport. So it's been an incredible experience, and there are plenty of opportunities like that at USC. So definitely, if any of y'all end up coming here, fully take advantage of those opportunities.
Thank you, Kayvon. May, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I think that in any college experience, wherever you go, you're going to be surrounded by this group of people, all from very different backgrounds, to try and figure out who they are, who they want to become, what they stand for, et cetera, et cetera. And so USC, like any college, will offer this, like, honestly, like, how else do I say other than, like, maybe just this intellectual breeding ground, and that everyone's going through this journey, and everyone's, like, thinking these different thoughts about, like, who they are, and, like, all these different things. But I think what makes USC really unique in terms of this finding yourself journey is that USC's different schools are so distinct in that people are truly really different and really there to hone their craft. And it's really easy to access all these different ways of thinking. Like, I remember when I got to college and I was like, oh, like, I'm business, but I'm not really the most satisfied with business curriculum. Like, where else do I go? It's very easy for me to reach out to different people in different schools, sit on a lot of different classes, just to, like, observe the style of thinking that everyone displayed. And I know that sounds really vague, but to kind of, like, explain what I mean by that. So also one thing that's, I think, like, distinct about USC is that people are very, like, maker, like, go-getter. The spirit in general is very entrepreneurial, and so we actually have this really cool school. It's called, like, Ivan and Young Academy. This is literally just a school, like, that wants people to be, like, startup founders. Like, that's, like, their entire curriculum basically, and they, like, do projects with, like, different companies as, like, part of their curriculum. They, like, have to, like, create a product and sell it. Like, so I considered going into that school, and then so it was just really easy for me to find someone from there, talk to professors, reach out to see, like, where they came from and, like, kind of what they were interested in. I sat in on a class, and I remember that day, it was a completely random day, and it was because one of my friends is in there, and I sat on a class, and one of the people in the cohort, every year is only 28 people, so it's a very small cohort and people know each other, but one of the people in this cohort, like, got their, like, Forbes 30 under 30 or something, like, certain, or like some news was related about that. It was super random for me because I just like showed up to class that day. And so they threw him a party and it was super cute. Like they had like cookies and like cake, and because they're like a very like maker kind of artistic creative group of people, like they had this giant whiteboard and they like decorated it and they like drew stuff, and it was like, you might be 40 or you might be 30 under 30 now, but you will always be one out of the 28 because they're like a cohort of 28. And it was just really cute. And I remember like being there and being like, wow, like there's really so many unique places within USC. Like honestly, like it is a really good place to like kind of embark on this journey to find who you are.
Thank you, May. And yeah, to echo what she said, if you're open to allowing growth, USC will give you the opportunities that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just have one brief thing to say, and then we can move on to the next question. And the thing I have to say is that I think the biggest thing that I've learned being at school so far is, and this I think applies no matter where you go, especially if it's a bigger school, is just having absolute disregard for what you think like other people will tolerate, in terms of like, I have no, like just reaching out to people like that you have met one time, be like, hey, can I grab your number, and follow up and text that person. And if they don't text back, but they're involved in something that you're really curious about, just like shamelessly text them back. Or if you meet a professor that's like doing research in something you're really interested in, or you meet someone who's working in a role that you think, oh, I have no idea what that's like, but I'm just curious and I want to learn more. Just like learning to listen to that voice of like, oh, like I don't know what that is, that's a new thing, I think that's exciting and I want to learn more, whether it's academic or social or personal or, you know, so many different regards. I think just learning to like work past the fear of like, oh, that person doesn't know me, like that person's way cooler than me, that person's on exec of this club, I'm not, like just learning to reach out. And like 9 times out of 10 people, if you genuinely just expressed, hey, like I'm interested, do you have 5 minutes, I want to learn more, normally people will take you up on that. And that's really changed my path in terms of USC and just my confidence, how I feel about myself, how I relate to other people, just realizing like, oh, people are way less scary than you think they are if you just reach out. So I think that's a good closing statement on that. So that was really interesting. Thank you guys for your responses. The next question that we're going to talk about is just describing USC's student culture and academic climate. So what makes USC kind of unique from all the other big schools or smaller schools, or you know, schools that people might be considering and comparing to USC. And May, if you want to start us off, that'd be great.
For sure. I think I mentioned earlier that I think USC is very entrepreneurial. Actually, okay, before I get into it, I think the best, most like concise way to describe USC is just work hard, play hard. That's completely the culture. I think it really embodies the spirit of the people. Like people really want to make something of themselves. They really want to create something. They want to output something to the world, which is like the work hard. But yeah, play hard is definitely a thing too. We are at the heart of LA. And LA is like obviously this like sprawling city. It's like city of like, no, it's not the city of stars. But anyways, essentially it's just this like center of media. And there's definitely, it's very touristy. There's a lot to be experienced. I think that being in this location obviously is like really good for your college years, just because it's a very exciting place to be, whether or not you plan on staying here long term or not. But yeah, so USC is very work hard, play hard. People definitely are very entrepreneurial. Everyone's kind of here to hit the ground running. They want to discover who they are and then like get on their career. People are very excited and oftentimes very passionate about what they want to do. And so people are just constantly doing stuff, but like not in a stressed out way. Cause like other schools, like, cause I think there's like a lot of schools across the nation that kind of have this like crop of ambitious kids who are like wanting to do work and like making something of themselves. But I honestly think that like USC has that same energy, but in like a more like life is good way. I remember one of my friends, I was talking to him and he got into UPenn and USC, and then he told me that he visited both. And when he got to UPenn, he was like, this is just like his impression. He was like, yeah, like it was different. Like I felt like the energy, like maybe like people were just seemed to be more preoccupied and like stressed out with like their work. And then he said that when I got to USC, like people were just chilling and whizzing around on skateboards and having a good time in general. And yeah, that's definitely a thing, like because USC is like super flat, everyone skates, which is I think a really fast way to get to class. But yeah, it's just a very like chill California vibe going on.
Um, okay, I can go next with after you, May. To echo May, I think the Trojan spirit is something that is just visible as soon as you enter campus. Like example, like even our elevator buttons have SC written on them, and like people, you can it's like tangible, you can feel it. And as May said, like when you get there as a freshman, there's people who are like partying and drinking, but during the weekends. But these are the same people acting like degenerates on the weekend who are extremely hardworking and successful, but are able to have a great time. So it can be overwhelming when you get there, but like it's such a supportive environment, and there's so many people in the same boat as you looking to have fun but explore different things that it's pretty supportive. Academic wise, I wouldn't say like it probably depends from school to school, but I wouldn't say like it's the most cutthroat culture. Like talking about Marshall, we're very like team based. There's lots of group project, lots of collaboration, and people like help out each other, and it's not bad at all.
I just had a quick thing to add off that one, and then we can go on to the next. But I think USC has certain stereotypes as to like what its typical student would be like, and I think there's a reason for those stereotypes. But I found in my experience, like if you just with the tiniest bit of effort, you will find a huge amount of people who are like super diverse in every way, who have interests that are way different from yours or way different from anyone that you've ever met. So I think there's just a lot of depth and diversity in terms of what people care about, and it's just a matter of putting yourself out there to find them.
Yeah, we also have the largest international student population from all over the world, so you get to experience people from different socioeconomic statuses, different parts of the world, etc. All right, so moving on to our next question. This one's interesting. What do you recommend for choosing courses for the first semester? Do you recommend focusing on breadth requirements or going right into important classes for your selected major? Julia, do you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, simple answer would be, if you think you might be interested in it, unless you're like super, super specifically sure that you know exactly what you want to be doing. If you think, hey, I might be interested in law and I might be interested in pre-med, like take a law and a pre-med and a literature and an IR class. I think the earlier you know, the better. I'm kind of at the point right now where I'm at the tail end of my sophomore year and I'm just starting to figure it out, and it's definitely feeling rushed and stressful. And I wish I would have taken the opportunity sooner in my freshman year to kind of explore some of those like large directions in terms of what you want to study academically. So I think the more diversity early, the better.
Thanks, Julia. Anuva?
Yeah, so definitely one thing I want to speak to general education requirements. I know that some people are kind of scared that they might be restrictive or that they might be forced to take certain classes, but I definitely don't think that that's a thing. In my experience, I took general ed requirements my freshman year, and they really opened up my mind to all of the different subjects and all the different fields that were available. Like, for example, I took a philosophy class my freshman year, and I took it because I needed to fulfill a requirement, but it really sparked this interest in that field. And I'm actually taking a philosophy class right now that's super, super interesting. And also, I took a sociology class my freshman year, and that actually led me to change my major from biology to public health. So I think in that sense, my freshman year, I really focused on being able to take that larger breadth of classes, stuff that I wasn't introduced to in high school, because high school, I would say, is more restrictive in terms of the classes that you're allowed to take. So that's one thing I would definitely say, echoing previous thoughts, that it's a great time for you to explore. And if you're really not sure about what you want to do, it's a great opportunity to see what courses are available. But at the same time, even if you know what you want to do, I can speak from that perspective. So I knew I came in as pre-med, so I knew that I needed to take those requirement classes. But what I did was each semester I took 2 pre-med requirements, so like your biology, chem, math, whatever, and then I took 2 general education or other humanities courses. And like through doing that, I was really able to pinpoint my interest in what medicine could look like for me, not just restricting myself to those hard science classes and like having more of a, I had more of a balanced semester instead of just going in and just doing those harder classes. So in that sense, I'd say that for a freshman, it's best to keep that equally balanced set of classes, doing some of those requirements, but also letting yourself explore and then specializing later on as you get older.
Thanks, Anuva. Erica, would you like to talk?
Yeah, I completely agree with Anuva 100%. I think she put that beautifully. Definitely take a wide range of courses. And general education, have an open mind with general education, because sometimes you maybe end up in a course with a very strange name, and it turns out those are honestly some of the most fun, some of the most informative. You can meet a lot of great professors that way and really explore departments that you otherwise wouldn't have. Let's see. On that note, one thing I would like to say that distinguished USC a lot for me relative to other comparable universities is, to be honest, the AP credit system at USC was great. Speaking personally, I don't know if the other panelists would agree with me, but they were awesome about giving me credit for a bunch of courses, which opened me up to taking a lot of really cool elective classes, general education classes, and freshman year really is a good time to sort of immerse yourself in college courses because they are different from high school. I do recommend taking an introductory course for whatever you think you want to major in, because honestly that can be really telling as to whether or not it's a good major for you, if you enjoy the sort of instruction that the department gives, and just it's good to feel out everything, and you'll definitely like catch a vibe for what you like and dislike in your courses. Yeah.
Thanks, Erica. And as a senior, I have a few pro tips. I agree with Erica. USC is pretty good about giving AP credit. And then one thing that you can use is USC Schedule Helper, because I know as freshmen, classes go get filled up pretty quickly. So it's a tab. It's one of those Chrome extensions, and you can just add that, and you can add different classes that you want to take, and it'll send you an email whenever a course opens up, so you can sign in for that. Secondly, one of my rules that I came into as a freshman was that I'm going to take an interesting class every semester that's completely unrelated to what I do. So there's a lot of 2-unit, 1-unit classes that USC has. So for example, I took a magic class and a ballroom dance class and a theater class, and et cetera, all throughout my time. And it just really added dimensions to who I was. And then lastly, I would say that professors are very open to you just sitting in. So the first 3 weeks of classes, you're allowed to explore. So you don't have to commit to any class for the first 3 weeks. So what I would do is just anything that you're interested in, make a list, email the professor, and go sit in and spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes just listening on the class. Do that for 8 to 10 classes, whatever you can, if you have a flexible major especially. And then just because USC has so many classes, try and make sure that you take classes that you love, because there's so many options. So you should do whatever class you love. Sorry, that was a long spiel, but we can move on to our next question now.
That was awesome, Avi. Thank you for adding. So for our next question, our audience wants to know, what do you dislike most about USC, and what are some thoughts about how it might improve? Pallavi, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so if I am being honest, I really love my school, and there's not much about it that I would change. I think a lot of the faults that I have with USC aren't unique to USC. I think they're just college in general. Something that just stays on my mind though is that I'm sure that if you're at USC, you tend to be civically engaged. You care about what's happening in the world, and something that I wish was different is USC's relationship with its community. It's no secret that USC is like in a relatively like low income area. And I think USC as like an institution really does try to maintain good relationships with the people that it's like the people around this community, but it's like, but the USC village itself like has gentrified the area. And so I can only hope that USC continues to just like be mindful of the actions that they're taking, and like build good relationships in LA itself. But yeah, other than that, like in terms of like education and like student culture, things like that, I really, really enjoy everything.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think that is really on point. And it's also cool though, I think as students to be proactive in searching out places that we can like be part of creating that good relationship with the community. And there's a lot of great places and people to do that. But I definitely agree that is, you know, something I've thought about. Erica, do you want to share also?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I like immediately regret electing to answer this question because I do love my school and it is very difficult to find a sort of critique of it. But I would say I think that USC has such a wide variety of resources for literally everything. And a lot of times you do really have to seek those out. Some resources are advertised better than others, but I will say like USC has made great pushes towards mental health and like, you know, student health and wellness and stuff like that. But I know a lot of students just don't know they have access to these resources. So it can be kind of difficult to get sort of centralized communications like that just because it is such a big school and because there are so many people who are doing so many amazing things, right? It can be a tad overwhelming, honestly. But just, I guess my advice for combating that is don't be afraid to reach out to people, sort of like Julia was saying, because USC does have the resources to help you through pretty much anything. But yeah, my critique would be sometimes you're being pulled in so many different directions and it can be difficult to sort of funnel down to which resource is right for you at that time. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think I will say I was on the volleyball team last year, and obviously the whole athletic scandal came out, and that was a really big deal. And a lot of the people I personally knew were involved in that, and just seeing like for sure that there was some people who were like being corrupt and like not being ethical and like being selfish and handling money. And there was also the huge thing with like a lot of like mental health issues and you know, students who had died. And I think for sure USC has a lot of room to grow in terms of leadership, but what's been really cool for me is seeing the response to that, the amount of communication and transparency I found through both of those processes. I was part of like a town hall. There was 20 undergrad students, 10 graduate students, and 10 teachers, and we all sat in a room for like 2 hours and talked about what ways do you think USC leadership is working, which ways is it not working. And it was moderated by a third-party company that USC has handled, and they had like over 20 of these. So I think USC has been super proactive in terms of being transparent in the areas that it is, you know, fallen short in terms of its values. And I think it's really proactively trying to address those. And I think for me, that's what I look for in leadership. I don't look for you know, someone who's perfect. I look for someone who's willing to admit when they're wrong and address it. And I think that's what I've seen USC do. So.
Thanks, Julia. I think to echo what Erica said, when you first come in, there's so many different directions that you're being pulled in that it can be overwhelming that because you want to do everything. But I would just say take a breath and figure out which specific areas you want to focus in and just go for that. All right, moving into the next question. What has been your most memorable experience at USC? Pallavi?
Yeah, so something that I really like culturally about USC and something that I also think is like really prevalent at USC is there's a lot of student orgs that function as agencies. I don't have any other way to describe them. There's like a lot of consulting orgs, a lot of like agencies, like marketing agencies, like VC firms that all like work with different startups and small businesses in LA. And I think this is, it like speaks to, it's like one, a function of being in a large city, but also like a function of being in LA in particular that has a lot of startups, that has like a pretty good tech scene. So students have the ability to get like through these student orgs have the ability to get client experience through like consulting, through marketing, through different things. So it's just really great like resume experience, but then also these student orgs, like everyone in it is really talented and driven. So it just really pushes you to be like the best version of yourself, and you also like meet really great people through it. I'm part of AIM Consulting and Trojan Marketing Group, like I mentioned earlier. And through them, I've worked with really cool companies and really cool people. And just getting those opportunities to build myself both personally and professionally has been really rewarding. Beyond that, I loved every game day at USC. So those are some of my favorite experiences.
Thanks, Pallavi. Kayvon, would you also like to tell us about your most memorable experience?
Absolutely. It's definitely a tie between two experiences. One is more like a traditional answer to the question in terms of this is one specific experience. One is a little bit more prolonged. I'll go with the prolonged one first to explain it a little bit. Joining the admission center by far has been the most memorable thing for me in my USC career. The reason for that is because it completely transformed the way that I viewed campus. Like we were talking about so far in this chat, we've been saying there's so many opportunities for you as a student at USC. Sometimes it's really difficult to figure out which ones you want to actually utilize and when you want to actually utilize those opportunities. Joining the admission center and being trained as a tour guide as a freshman, it gave me so much exposure to all the different things that were happening around USC. And I think it was a really great crash course for me. It was sort of like a great USC 101. That way I really got to sort of explore all the different schools, because I was expected to understand what all the different schools were, what the different majors were and all that, in addition to all the great extracurriculars that we have and the incredible faculty and alums that we have. It also gave me sort of my little personal Trojan family, I like to call it. Really my core group of friends, all of them come from that organization. The more sort of traditional answer to the question, I would say one specific experience happened during our parent weekend in my freshman year. This was October. We had our whole football game that we were playing against Utah, that I believe. Yeah, we were playing Utah that weekend. And my parents had come to visit since it was our parent weekend. And I had told my parents a lot throughout my entire freshman year, so much about game day, sort of like Pallavi was talking about towards the end of her last answer. And I told them, I really want to take you guys to a game. So I went online, I bought the cheapest tickets I could find for my parents. And they were pretty cheap. And we got to the arena, we got to the Coliseum, and we go to find our seats, and we realized we were all the way up at the top of the Coliseum, not in like the box, not in like the booth area, but like the top row of the bleachers, so far away. But I said, you know what, that's fine. We're here in the Coliseum. We're going to experience a USC game day. I'm going to experience it with my family. It's going to be awesome. As people started to file in around us, I started to see a lot of U's, but not a lot of SC's. And I really started to put the pieces together, and I realized, oh my God, the reason the tickets were so cheap is because we're literally sitting in the opponent's section. And so I was like, you know what, that's okay. Me and my family, we're all decked out in our USC gear. We are going to fight on like the Trojans that we are. We are going to show our school pride. Just when we made that commitment, we saw somebody else walking around the bleachers with a USC shirt. So of course we flag them down. We're like, oh my God. So, I'm a USC student. These are my parents. We're sitting in the Utah section, but that's okay. We're still committed to having a great game day. And he looked at us and said, there's just three of you? And I said, yeah, it's just me and my mom and my dad. I swear this sounds like something out of a movie, but I promise this happened. He pulls out an envelope from the back of his pocket, and he starts going through the envelope, and he's like saying, okay, 3, 3, 3. And he picks out 3 tickets, gives them to me and my parents. And he says, these are my personal season pass tickets. I want you to take the tickets for this game, 16 rows from the front. Don't sit here and experience a USC game day. Go experience a USC game the way that it was meant to be experienced, which was absolutely incredible and blew my mind. But it didn't stop there. He also gave us 3 pink wristbands, and he said, these wristbands are going to give you pregame field access. Put these on, take your parents, go down to the field, see the marching band, rile up the crowd, see our players warm up, and then take those seats 16 rows from the front. And I was absolutely blown away. I think we talk about the Trojan family a lot on our websites, on our promotional material. And I know definitely from myself, I was very skeptical about it coming in. I was like, is this something that we just promote, or does this actually exist? And it's stories like this, it's experiences like this that I have at USC that I realized Trojans really look out for each other. Everybody wants you to succeed. We're all in your corner. And when I had that experience, I just was so excited to tell all my friends about it. Because I was like, this is incredible. I know I chose the right school to come to, because if people like this come out of USC, then I'm very proud to be a Trojan. Sorry for the long answer, but yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Kayvon. That was
Kayvon, that was
beautiful.
awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. And I think all of us here could have some story about encountering someone who is part of the Trojan family, and just whether it's connecting and just like immediately like breaking down the barrier of like, fuck yes, like we are on the same team, let's go, or if that's a job connection or an internship connection or whatever, like it is great. That was great, Kayvon. This is kind of a big pivot from that. I think coming in, you know, USC has definitely grown in terms of its reputation, how selective it's been, you know, just the actual quality of students who are admitted. It's gotten way more rigorous, and it can be very intimidating coming into a class that's so selective. And I think a lot of us, you know, really had imposter syndrome, where we felt like we don't belong, we're not X enough, smart enough, good enough, pretty enough, whatever. So if you guys just want to discuss some insecurities coming in as freshmen in such a selective class, maybe how you manage that, and how you have managed your imposter syndrome. Abby, you can start if you want.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, so I was a super socially awkward kid, and I grew up in India, and then moving to the US, that was a big challenge. And then I had this massively thick Indian accent. Pretty sure I still do, but at that time I was more insecure about it. And like I got here, and everyone's so like they kind of know campus, and but like so it was super insecure for me if I'm going to be able to fit in and be able to socially interact with such a intense surrounding. But like for me, the one answer that I had was like, I'm gonna say hi to everyone that I think looks interesting. And like in your freshman class, the thing is everyone wants to be talked to, like especially at the beginning, everyone's trying to make friends, but they're all in the same boat and you just don't realize it. So if you just, and this is everywhere, like if someone's sitting alone at the dining hall, you can just go up to them and be like, hey, how's your day? And like everyone is so grateful to just be approached, and that you just say that one word, that it just flows, because you have those like you have that connection of being a freshman at USC and going through that experience. So like I was very pleasantly surprised as to how smoothly it went. And then I lived in a dorm, and like all of our doors were open the entire time, and we were just like extremely messy group of guys, and just like would crash on each other's bed, and like it was just such a cohesive environment that the anxiety went away in the first few weeks.
Awesome, Avi, that was great. Thank you. Erica?
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact that we have a whole question dedicated to imposter syndrome lets you know that you're not the only one who feels that way, even though it can be so isolating. Like, I get it. I've been there. We've all been there, where I'm not smart enough. I'm not in as many orgs as everybody else. I don't have a killer internship or whatever it is, right? And I know for me as a freshman, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna lay low, right? I'm just gonna go to my classes, all this shit. Fuck that. Honestly, like that's not the way to go. Put yourself out there. As terrifying as it is, it really, really builds your character. And if you don't take these risks, you'll never know, you know? So yeah, there's always gonna be that little voice in your head telling you you're not good enough. Just tell her to shut up. That's kind of what I do. Put on some Lizzo or something and handle it. Like, figure it out. Put your hair in a top knot. You got it. And honestly, especially you guys, what's the acceptance rate this year? Like 10? Like, that's insane. You're so qualified. You guys are so great. Gen Z, like, we love you. Don't let those voices take over, because you're so much better than that. Seriously. And you earned your spot.
Awesome, thanks. I think I have just 2 quick points on this, and then we only have about 15 minutes left. So after this question, if we can decide if we want to do a Q&A or if we have some more like rapid fire questions. So maybe just think about what you'd like. And but just from my perspective on the imposter syndrome, I think 2 things. One is, once you start talking to people who are doing things that you think, oh, they have it, they've got it all figured out, like they're smart, they're on the board of this club, and they're like whatever, like every single person like no one knows what they're doing. So if you are like vulnerable and like honest about that and just like, hey, like, can you please help me out? I promise, instead of trying to like, you know, like when you try to have this like defensive like armor of like, oh, they're cooler than me, or oh, I need, you know, they're more professional or smarter than me, like it just really, it brings up barriers. It doesn't help. And so I think just it's helped me to realize like even the people I respect to and look up to most, like they still don't really know what they're doing either. So that's been helpful. And the second thing that really is good in terms of like, you know, not having imposter syndrome as bad is thinking about the ways that you're like, everyone at USC is excellent in some way, like using some like unit of measurement, but the unit of measurement that everyone is different for every single person. So like you're going to see people who are way better than you in so many different ways, but you just have to remember, I think, like how are you measuring your own success, and like what qualities like do you care about that you're working on? Because you know, you can't be the best at everything. There's so many things to be good at, and there are so many people who are good at them at USC. So just remembering like what your values are, like how you're gonna measure your success is really important, because it might be different for other people. Yeah, does anyone else have anything else on that?
All right, thank you so much, Julia. So we're running a little over time because the answers have been incredible. Thank you so much, guys. Uh, I think that we can quickly go through maybe one or two rapid fire questions and then move into Q&A. We might go over time a
Might go
few
over, yeah.
minutes, but if everyone is cool with that, that should be fine. And if anyone isn't, you can text the group chat and we'll split it along. So Julia, so yeah, what's your favorite first year class that you guys took, Kayvon?
In my first year, my favorite class was electronic music and dance culture. It counted as a GE for arts, and I never thought that coming to college I would be taking a class about EDM. And it was just like a type of music that I liked listening to, and then I saw we had a class for it, and I get GE credit. So I said, awesome, might as well give it a shot. It was also my largest class my freshman year. It had 100 students in it. But my professor, Sean Nye, still one of my favorite professors to this day, made an effort to know every single person's name in that class, to the point where if I went and sat down during his office hours, before even introducing myself, saying, hi, I'm not sure if you remember me, but my name is Kayvon. The second my butt hit this his chair, he immediately starts saying, you're Kayvon, right? You're writing about Daft Punk Random Access Memories. And I was like, yes, that's me. That's what I'm doing. And I was really caught off guard, but very pleased that he knew what I was working on and was able to give me feedback, like tangible, actionable items on my essays so quickly. So yeah, probably one of my favorite classes, both for the course and for the professor as well.
Awesome, thank you, Kayvon. And May, do you want to go next? And just for interest of time, let's like move this a little quickly, rapid fire.
Yeah, for sure. I ended up taking this really, like, it was a once a week political science class specifically about lobbying, because he was a former lobbyist and he worked, like he was like a special assistant to George Bush. So it was really cool to hear his stories straight from the White House.
Yeah. Julia?
Yeah, I took a 4-unit ceramics class. Absolutely, if you have extra space in your schedule, would highly recommend. One of the best experiences I've had at USC.
My sister's actually in that class. I don't know if you met her, but
That's
Erica.
cool.
Yeah, I took mathematic option class. It was Core 104 with Professor Bruce Smith. It was about like sound culture, and it was awesome. We got to go to the LA Phil as a field trip.
Wow. Anuva?
My favorite class was freshman year. It was this art history class, and I never thought that I would end up in an art history class, but it was honestly one of the most rewarding experiences, just because my professor was so passionate. Like, literally, she would jump up and down as she was explaining artists' works that she really liked, and just that experience of getting to be taught by someone that was so passionate about their field, I think that was unmatched.
Pallavi?
Oh, sorry, my internet's kind of slow. I took IR 323, which is a class about relationships between the Global North and South, and it was super interesting, taught by Isla Bosevich, so would highly recommend.
Very cool, guys. That seemed like amazing classes. And I want to give time to hear from all of you. So I think that we'll cut the rapid fire questions right now and move into Q&A. Julia, do you want to speak? Yes, into Q&A.
Yeah, so that's all we're going to do for our prepared questions. We know we weren't able to cover all the submitted questions, but we did try to do the ones that were most requested. I'm certain plenty of you have more questions, so please feel free to use the raise hand feature, or you can just drop it in the group chat, or you can message me privately or Abby. And yeah, please be respectful to people who are asking questions and just stay muted. Yeah, so go ahead and send in your questions now. If you have any specific questions about involvement that people talked about during their intros. Oh, here's a good question now. Could Cavion talk about I'm so sorry if I did not say that right.
That's okay.
Can you talk about your experience as a neuroscience major at USC?
Absolutely. I came in initially as a computational neuroscience major because I both had interests in neuroscience and computer science. And talking with my advisor, I realized computational neuroscience wasn't giving me enough neuroscience that I wanted, and it wasn't giving me enough computer science that I wanted. So that's why I ended up splitting and doing a full major in neuroscience and minoring in computer security. USC really allows you to have that flexibility to really customize how you want to take your classes, what you want to pursue, which is great. My experience with the neuroscience classes specifically, first I'll talk about my major advisor. My current advisor is Tony Richardson. She's absolutely wonderful, one of the sweetest people I've ever met, and she's very knowledgeable about the neuroscience program. And I think I haven't met a single person in our neuroscience program that doesn't like the advisor that they have. All of our advisors are specific to neuroscience, so they're experts in that major, which is great. And our professors are also very, very smart. One class that I took, it was more like an introduction to neurobiology class. Pretty much every lecture ended with our professor saying, but, you know, that's just what we know now. Tomorrow when you come into class, everything might change, and we have to be ready for that, which was really cool and interesting. We were studying research that was actively coming out and was really at the cutting edge of the field of neuroscience. So I've actually had a very great experience with that major, and I'm very happy with the choice.
Thank you, Kayvon.
Awesome, cool, yeah.
And so before we go into the list, I was texted a question by Lily. How accessible do you think professors are at USC? How do they deal with recommendation letters or introduction to job opportunities? Anuva?
Yeah, I can answer that because I feel like, especially for pre-meds, letters of recommendation are important. And I would say that I have had no issues with getting to know professors and meeting with them one-on-one. Even for the big chemistry, biology classes, those have upwards of like 100 students. Each professor has office hours, and if you can't make any of their designated office hour times, they're more than flexible to set up times individually to meet with you. And I know, especially in those classes, those were not easy classes, they're pre-med classes, but I felt like I was able to do well because of all of the support that I had from the professors. I would go to office hours regularly. If I couldn't make them, I would make sure to schedule times, and they were always willing to help. So in terms of that, I think if you put in the effort to go outside of class and meet them, then you can build those connections, and then asking for letters down the line is not a problem.
All right, thank you. Next question is pre-med culture cutthroat? Any pre-meds here? Yes.
Yeah, I can take it briefly. In my experience, no. USC largely, and this applies also to our pre-med culture, it's very collaborative instead of competitive. So, you know, making friends in your classes, getting their help for studying for exams and working on projects, it really helps you sort of survive pre-med. If a lot of people think that, oh my God, this is so daunting, I'm not sure if I can handle this, you can absolutely do it, like Anuva was saying, with the help of your professors and our faculty, but also with the help of your peers as well. Everyone's looking out for you.
One other thing that I want to add to that, I just want to pitch, we have a supplemental instruction program for the pre-med classes. So basically what that is that for each of the core science classes, so like you have your chemistry, biology, physics, biochem, etc., there's an upperclassman leader, so usually a junior or senior who's taken the class beforehand, and they lead weekly discussion sessions that go over what you learned in class the previous week. So even if you're too scared to talk to your professor, you don't feel like you can engage in that sense, you can still go to these upperclassmen, people who have taken the class beforehand, and they're an amazing, amazing resource. I know that my freshman year, I went to all of the supplemental instruction sessions while I was taking those classes, and they helped me so much because they've taken the test beforehand. They can give you those specific tips and tricks to help you succeed. And even outside of just those classes, I definitely gained a lot of great advice from them regarding like what clubs to pick, how to find volunteer opportunities, how to even study for the MCAT, things like that. So in terms of resources, in terms of that collaborative nature, I think USC is amazing. I have not felt that cutthroat nature at all.
Great, Anuva. Any tips on finding the right roommate, guys?
Sure, I can jump in about this one. Oh, actually, no, Erica, go.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I was just gonna say real quick, there are a lot of different ways that you can find your roommate. So me personally, I went on our admitted student Facebook group, and just people were posting introductions about themselves, and I found a couple of people that I sort of had some similarities with, reached out to them on Facebook, we became friends and started talking, and then after a while, I popped the big question. I was like, oh, you want to be roommates? And they were like, oh yeah, it was exciting and awesome. So that's one way. You can also go random, just fill out our housing survey and don't request a roommate. All my friends that have done random have also had really great experiences. So it's really just up for what you feel comfortable with. I'm not sure, Erica, if you want to add anything.
Nope, that covered it. I went random once, and then I picked a roommate once, and it worked out great both times. Just be open-minded, you know. It's everyone's first time living away from home. So, you know, it's a fun experience, though. Roommates are awesome. Great way to make friends.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, going random is great. I went random my freshman year, and I actually met Pallavi. Pallavi was my random roommate, and we're still friends. So don't be afraid to go random. Don't be afraid to pop that big question. I think you're going to find someone great to live with either way.
Awesome,
Right.
cool.
Guys, so we're at the 3:30 mark. So that will be our last question because we're running out of time. But most of our panelists have some time after and will be around. So if you have more specific questions, feel free to stay. We want to thank the panelists for taking the time to be here, as well as all of you guys for participating. Hopefully you all found this to be helpful, informative, and fun. We also want to take this opportunity to invite you to help us expand CollegeSide Chats. This is a word of mouth project, so we need all the help we can get. Our goal is to host several chats across various universities, and we need help with marketing and outreach, which can be as simple as helping post our next chat in another college's Facebook group or just sharing our post on IG. With all that said, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, panelists, for volunteering your time, and congratulations to all of you for your acceptances. And we hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy. Welcome to USC. Fight on.
Fight on, everyone.
Fight on, guys.